Hello and welcome to the Book by Book, a podcast about the odd book or two you've read. I'm your host Scott, and I'm not alone. Tobie's here too. This episode we're talking about Molly Gloss's Outside the Gate. This is going to be a spoiler-free episode, so if that's okay with you, continue on, and I'll see you on the other side. You sort of don't want it coming up arbitrarily for that reason, like unless it's precedent to it.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Yeah, nice.
All right.
One for the notes. So I'm going to talk about a book that we both read, and you recommended I read earlier a couple of weeks. So I'm going to talk about Molly Gloss's Outside the Gates. So this is a very short, quick read. This was. It took me about a week, maybe. It's only 97 pages long. Very, very short. So it's basically about, I think it's the best first novel I've seen in years. It's the first novel. So it's about a community that live inside these gates. It's like a gated community, large gated community. In medieval times, in my head, that's where I pictured it. Something happens inside the gates. I can't remember exactly what, or if you're even told, but I think you join our main character, which is Ren, or this kid, the boy, we'll call him the boy, on the outside of the gates, who's just been booted out of this community, and I'm not 100% certain what it is he's done. And I don't think you're meant to know. That's probably why I can't remember. So he finds himself basically with a rucksack on the outside of these walls and just the forest in front of him. And apparently this happens quite frequently. People are outcast from this, sent into the forest, and then just never seen again. They just disappear into the forest, and that's the end of them. So this boy is on the outside of the gates. He spends a couple of nights just sort of waiting to see if somebody's going to come and let him back in. Nobody does. So he gets up and heads off into the forest. And while he's on his way into the forest, he runs into a sort of like a wise old man, I'd call him, a gnarly old guy who's been in the forest for a very long time. Yeah. And he's rather accustomed to living in the forest and by himself. So there's a bit of standoffishness between the two of them at first, especially from the boy's side, because this is the first person he's seen, doesn't know who he's encountering, what he's about. There's very, very little dialogue, if any dialogue, between the two characters at that point. And then the boy just basically pitches up with this guy in this little rundown shack that they've built, and learns the ways of the forest. And he also has the ability, this is why he was kicked out, I think, because he has the ability to talk to the forest creatures and communicate.
Right. There's definitely a fantastical element, right?
So I think that's the reason he shows signs of inklings of this ability, and he's therefore booted out for that reason, because he's different from everybody else. So he goes into the forest, meets this guy, learns about how to live and life skills through this guy, and then they go on a journey to, I think, maybe just relocate. They go fishing, and then while he's asleep, the old guy goes missing, and he wakes up the next morning and he's just gone. And there's none of his remains. It's just like he's just taken and gone. And the kid's there, and he waits for him to come back. He doesn't come back. So eventually he goes searching for him, and he goes on this trek to try and find him. And he meets a wolf. He spends a lot of time getting to know a wolf because of the ability to talk to animals. Becomes quite friendly with this wolf. And then he meets a sort of like an old lady.
It's very fairy tale, right? Like it's a list of characters on
it's literally that. With this woman, this old lady, they decide to go and try and find this missing guy, because they've heard of this band of people that have gone through with this guy at the front of it, like a cult basically, and this leader of this cult has got the ability to gravitate people towards him. So they're figuring that he's taken the old guy. So they go searching for him. They get in a boat, and there's this big sort of comeuppance on the river where the boat capsizes and they get separated. I think they go over a waterfall, and the boy washes up downstream, and the woman and the wolf are gone. They're just missing. You can't find them. Then he finds...
Can I interject? for the sake of being spoiler free and the fact that this is quite a short novel, I feel like it's pretty safe to say they go on a mini fantastical adventure and sort of meet characters mystical and human to achieve their goal. And
Yeah,
what did you make of the book?
it's very descriptive. It's almost poetry at times in the way that it's written. I think flows very quickly. It's very short, snappy moments happening one after the other, but really well set. If you know what I mean. You always get a sense of the forest oppressive and around you at all times.
Yeah.
Foxes and the creatures that come out and talk to the kid, they sort of nose their way out of shrubbery that you can almost reach out and touch, sort of thing.
It's very bustling with life, like a dense forest. I kind of pictured it well.
So I thought it was very well written, very easy to read.
Like, did you like its length? That it's under 100 pages.
It was refreshing in the sense that it wasn't a massive undertaking. The end was always in sight very quickly. So it was a nice. I haven't read anything really that short before, unless it's been a short story in a short, like this is a book into itself. What did you think of it, having read it yourself?
I liked it, but I didn't love it. It kind of felt like this was going to be part of an epic,
right?
Like if this was like, how they often say, like, write a backstory for your characters.
Yeah.
And this was like, there would be an epic story about that boy grown up, and this is the story that would get teased in, the folklore of a character. Like, I don't think it really nourished me. I think I enjoyed it, but just it sort of showed me a world, but not enough of it, I suppose.
Yeah. It's very isolated instance of the world, isn't it? Really. I felt like it would slot really nicely as a side chapter to the passage.
Right, yeah, certainly, because I guess you never really get to see inside those gates.
Nope.
And they kind of paint a picture. Basically, to go outside those gates is certain death, right? But the boy just doesn't really encounter much danger.
No.
It serves quite a well.
It's a bit like The Village. Have you ever seen The Village? M. Night Shyamalan film.
Right.
Like the urban legend.
And I guess there's a lot out there, but it doesn't really explain why you have to be so locked off and
And I thought it's just, the whole thing with the kid having the ability to talk to animals and things like that. Like you say, it feels like it's building something bigger.
It's like The Hobbit to a Lord of the Rings somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. Do you know if she's done any more?
Yeah, she's done several. I've been tempted to buy them, but I haven't.
They're not in the same universe or any of that sort of thing.
Not that I know of, but they are a fantastical element. I think at least one of them is. I think one of them is like another planet, like space travel, colonization. So she does stick that sort of, fantasy realm. Because I think even though it is about space travel, it's more about the communities. And from what I could gather, it would be more in this style than about technology and flying. That's just the vehicle it needs to get it.
Yeah. I think what this type of book does is it gives like new writers hope. Because it is tiny. I don't know if this is like you were saying earlier on, where you release a book and then it doesn't really do much, and then one book down the road or two books down the road you become really famous and they re-release it. Maybe it was a short story in a magazine.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the cover of this one and the other ones, it does seem like, actually I'm not sure when she's written, but it gives me the feeling of someone like, these books aren't that new, they've just been discovered and newly packaged. Like I'd be tempted to read more from her. I guess this one I kind of wish it was longer, like double the length maybe, and just more to bite into, because it does move.
Do you think if it had been longer, the writing style would have lent itself to a longer novel?
I think so, yeah. I mean, her other two are 300 or so pages, I can gather. Yeah, I guess there's just no real development in this. It just tells you what is, and I guess the boy gets less scared of the world, but that's kind of as far as he takes it, right? It's
Yeah.
Boy to man adventurer story.
Yeah, it's exactly that. So, would I recommend it to other people to read? Yes. I'd probably recommend it to someone like Lana or someone like that. My daughter, who's like 10, 11, 12. I think it pitches in around there quite nicely.
I certainly think, like if you weren't into fantasy, I don't think this would be the best place to start.
No, definitely not. It is just a nice sort of introduction to a world, but not really got an awful lot beyond that.
Maybe enjoying it, but wishing it was more.
Yeah, I think that was the same for me. I liked when I read it, but it wasn't an awful lot, and it didn't feel like I was like swept away at any given point.
Like if there was a highlight,
the camp stuff with the Seeker and the boy trying to get the man back, that was a really good section. That's the latter half. That was like the last couple of chapters, I think.
Right.
And the relationship between the boy and the wolf, I enjoyed that. That was a really nice, touching. Because the wolf was very standoffish with everybody else but him. Really.
It sort of has the. If I was going to visualize it, it would feel like Princess Mononoke or something. Like.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Princess Mononoke.
Sort of like pre-technology, but also well-built towers and weaponry and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In particular,
That's a very good shout, actually. Princess Mononoke is perfect for it.
Very strong hunters and stuff. Hey, we're going to wrap it up around there. I want to thank you for listening and hope you've enjoyed. Join us again next episode, and until then, support your local bookstores and have a great day.